Welcome to Trump Teachings. This time we use Warlock to showcase one of the fundamental strategies of Hearthstone, which is to not worry about your life total. For it's not about life, it's often about board control, and in this case, it's about using your hero ability as a Warlock to be able to transform life, which is a resource, into cards. Card advantage is really good. Here I've got the basic list. If you're just starting off with Warlock, all of these classes can be obtained at level 1, but there are some significant upgrades which you get as you level to level 4 and you get Mortal Coil. You can take out this bulky Stormwind Champion and this Frostwolf Warlord and put in your unlocked Mortal Coil. Level 6, you get the Soulfire, get rid of the Iron for Grizzly and the Stormwind Knight. Get that sweet, sweet Soulfire action going. And finally, Dread Infernal at level 10. Replace these overcosted cards. And now let's get into a game and fearlessly tap.
I must protect the one.
Your soul shall be mine!
So what is fearlessly tapping, you may ask? First of all, I'll talk about the opening hand, I guess. I kept 2 cards which are low. Make sure to keep cards which you can play early game. But more importantly, let's talk about life tap. And the glory of life tap. There's been a common theme in... There will be a common theme in quite a lot of these videos, which is to say that the goal of the game is not to bring your opponent down from 30 health to 0 as fast as possible. Rather, that is just a win condition, but often the methodology of getting to that win will involve using your own life as a resource. And no class speaks that better than Warlock.
Don't mess with us.
Just gonna do the basic stuff, play on curve. I'll go ahead and trade. So one of the things about Warlock is that if they do even trades, then their hero ability will pull through for them at the end of the game. With this excellent life tap ability, should the game ever go into a top deck scenario, you're going to be drawing 2 cards a turn to your opponent's 1 card a turn, and that is a huge advantage, even if you take 2 health a turn. One of the most popular decks in the format, Zoo, plays exactly to that advantage. They run really efficient, low-cost minions, and then trade with your opponent's cards generally, try to maintain board control. In order to set up for that late game where they're tapping and then drawing 2 cards a turn and then laying them out, and then the opponent's going to run out of ability to deal with them in time. As a side advance note, I'm not attacking this into this to play around a popular druid card called Swipe, which will deal 1 damage to all enemy minions and 4 damage to a target by not doing that attack. So we're starting to actually get into the point where life tap is going to be really good in this game. Both players have played out their cards. It looks like things are going fairly evenly, and this is where life tap is really going to shine, and where you should definitely fearlessly tap. When you feel like you're going to start running out of cards, then use that health as a resource and tap. because then you're going to be able to keep playing these cards and bury your opponent under a extra card a turn advantage. And that's why so many of the class Warlock cards are designed to be inefficient or to be slightly inferior. It's because this hero ability is very, very powerful. It's a bit more pronounced in Zoo decks since they run out of cards so much earlier and begin tapping much earlier. They don't run cards like Boulder Fist Ogre. But even in a later game Warlock deck, you will oftentimes, and perhaps an arena or some such, there will come a time when you run out of cards. And when that time is approaching, do that tap each turn.
Someone call the doctor.
For life is but a resource, and this opponent is focusing a bit on board control. Without fighting for the board, he would be quickly overrun, so he's doing the right thing. He is running inefficient cards, such as Mogish and Warden, however.
Pass me that Arclight spanner!
And because of running these inefficient cards, I may not even be able to get into the win the late game by tapping and getting advantage through that. Oh, he played Ironbark Protector. Alright, we're in business. Okay, Dread Inferno is pretty good. So, as I see that I am about to run out of cards, this is an excellent turn to tap. And if you ever plan on tapping, you should tap first, because you might draw a better solution than one you currently have. Wow, Soulfire, that is a really good card to draw right now. So, I was going to send the Ogre into the tree, but now, with Dread Inferno, to wipe out these two, I only need 7 damage to kill the Ironbark Protector. So that's going to just be this one's 3 and the Soulfire. And under the Warlock's might of being able to live tap each turn, you can stand up even against the biggest threats. Even the very popular tournament deck of Zoo, they can deal with giant cards by just running so many low cost efficient minions and so many buff cards and Soulfire, such that even though their cards mostly only have 3 attack, they're able to team up together, and with the power of life tap, they can still take down those huge cards.
I am the blade of the gods.
Mind if I roll need?
So usually when you're at this situation of the late game, first thing you want to do, tap. Like, especially since you can already cast all of these cards in the hand, they cost less than 10. Unless you were intending to cast all of them, just begin each turn with tapping. As long as you're at what is a safe life total. And what's safe really depends on the matchup, but this is safe. And as long as you maintain board control, you're safe to do pretty much whatever you want.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
And you'll keep maintaining that board control with this advantage of a extra card each turn, thanks to life tap.
Let the pain speak to me. Time waits for no one.
Alright, and with attacking twice here and then hellfiring, I'll be able to get through.
Push forward.
I mean, I get through it in quite a lot of different ways. one of the things to recognize is, even though I actually ended the game at 15 health, a lot of that was self-inflicted with life tap. And that is just a really important thing, to realize that through the course of actually winning the game, your health is a resource. So use that resource. And as a warlock, fearlessly tap when the situation calls for it, which is most of the time. Like I mentioned, one of the decks that is really popular and very competitive in tournaments right now is Zoo. And this is actually one of the cheaper decks you can buy right now, as it only has one legend in it, one legendary card, which is from Naxxramas even. It does hold quite a few Naxxramas cards instead, including Lotheb, Haunted Creeper, Undertaker, and Ruby and Egg. The concept takes life tapping and playing efficient minions to an extreme. And by the way, a lot of people think that this is a aggressive deck, and sometimes it is, but more often it is a board control deck where you're going to use your minions to trade into their minions, and then you utilize the advantage of your life tap ability to draw those 2 cards a turn, play 2 threats a turn, and then overwhelm your opponent. As you can see, there are a lot of 1-cost cards, so you can really efficiently play out all the cards. Soulfire, by the way, if you have no cards in your hand, you discard nothing. So is Doomguard. If you have no cards in your hand, you discard nothing. So it really takes advantage of that, and once you've emptied your hand, you can refill with life tap. It is truly the essence of fearless tapping. In the late game, as a warlock, if you are not life tapping and making use of your health as a resource, you're not doing it right. So fear not your health, and instead embrace that which you can gain with your health.